Hello and welcome to another edition of Middleware Friday for January 25th. I'm Kent Weir, and today I'm joined with...
Steef-Jan. I'm back again.
You're back again, back in the desert. So you're in Phoenix right now.
That's correct. Yeah.
What are you up to?
Well, last time I came here, we discussed maybe doing this half marathon, which is called the Rock and Roller. This is a brand, of marathons and half marathons you can run in the US, right? And I think there are even a couple of these rock and rollers you can do in Europe. I think I saw people wearing Liverpool shirts. So
yeah, Canada as well, Montreal.
Uh-huh.
So how did you do?
I did pretty well, actually. This is after a couple of years, I was able to get a new PR. I got 148 something, but that was I broke my previous one, which was 149. So
PR meaning personal record. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So you're the fastest you've ever been.
Fastest ever been, and it was a pretty fast course. There were a bit of hills, but
yeah, that was a big hill.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I was able to get a new record. That's good.
Cool. Congrats.
Thank you.
So I figured with you being here, this would be worth catching up and talking shop a little bit, since we only see each other a few times a year. So
Correct.
What have you been up to, say, work-wise? What are some of the things that you've been working on lately?
Well, lately we've created some tips around, for me in this case, functions. I've written a few things down, when to use what version, how to do error handling, that kind of stuff. The other thing I've been doing is some hybrid integrations. So getting data from financial data, getting that into D365 finance and operations. So I've done that kind of stuff. So it involves, BizTalk, getting the data from local programs or ERP systems and getting that data through logic apps into D365. So either a recurring job or directly using OData. So that's kind of interesting stuff I've been doing. And I've seen it more that we tend to get more and more projects around Dynamics 365 because a lot of the enterprises are moving their on-premise installations of AX or CRM into the cloud. So maybe you've seen that too.
Yeah, I certainly saw that at Microsoft. It was certainly a big push. And I think the platforms are becoming more robust and more flexible. I think some of the legacy code base isn't sort of up to par with some of the sort of demands of cloud when you think of competitors in that space. But the team is working hard, and there's very conscious effort around like building a solid platform that's extensible and that you can plug in. And that's where you start to see more and more of the integration points with CDS, the Common Data Service, Power Apps, Flow, and then certainly Logic Apps as well. Now, so you mentioned serverless or tips. So these tips can be found on serverlessnotes.com.
True.
So this is a community knowledge base hosted by Serverless 360, which is part of the BizTalk 360 family. And so you have you've knocked it out of the park with Azure Functions.
True.
What are a few of your favorite tips, or you think the most valuable tips that people could take advantage of?
Well, I would definitely say, handling errors in functions, because that's also very necessary to keep it robust, either from a perspective that you have loose functions, so let's say just single entities, or in the context of durable functions. So in that case, you have an orchestration function where you can have a centralized mechanism for error handling as well. The other thing that's pretty interesting too is what type of plan would you use, if it's app service plan or consumption plans. But there's differences, right? In consumption plan, you can scale up really fast, but the other thing is you still might sometimes deal with these cold start type of issues, which are not apparent when you use an app service plan, because then you can leverage the always on capability. So that's an interesting tip too, I would say, depending on your workloads and what type of plan are you requiring. The other thing would be choosing the right functions. Would it be full .NET or .NET Core? Although Microsoft is pushing towards .NET Core and saying, hey, you should use version 2. But what I've noticed, and other people too, that sometimes integrations through functions, let's say with the AWS platform or Google, you still require certain NuGet packages that are more suitable or compatible with version 1, with the full .NET. So you might run into maybe some issues if you try to do it through .NET or Core 2. So you have to think about those versions too. I know in the end of the day, we'll probably all go to .NET Core, but before we reach that stage, I would say, really think about the compatibility with, what type of version you use. The other thing that's probably interesting too is getting configuration settings from your key vault. So leveraging that service. So that's interesting too, I think, as a tip. Adding unit tests to your function, you can do that easily. Then again, you have to think about what type of runtime you choose to get it compatible with your functions. Other thing would be a hidden gem is Kudu, where you're enabled to, this may be more for operation guys, where you can do analysis and troubleshooting of your functions.
Right. Yep.
It's something you can do. So yeah, and the interesting thing, something you can do with Logic Apps as well, is secure them using API management.
Right. Yeah. So I guess so those are the ones that you've done. You got a backlog, or what are some future tips that you're planning on writing about as well?
I'll probably write a few more tips around the durable functions. So that's the capability of writing a complete workflow, but then through code. So with a Logic app, for instance, you can do this with activities and I wouldn't say drag and drop, it's just no code. And the code approach would be using durable functions.
Got it.
I will write a little bit more about persisting data using Azure functions to Cosmos DB. I'll talk a bit about scheduling, also touch upon how you can do integrations with functions, either going to AWS or Google Cloud Platform, because that's interesting too. Although there are no standard bindings to go to these platforms, you can still leverage some of the NuGet package, and then you can, for instance, write, let's say, documents to S3 storage or to Google Cloud Storage, so you can do that stuff too. And the other final part, or the last tip I'll probably write about, is how Azure functions and Logic App are better together, right? So.
Sure. Okay. So you got a few events coming up here. What's on the schedule?
On the schedule, well, yeah, there's going to be. I'm going to talk about Azure functions soon in Holland at what's called the Azure Thursday. That's another new initiative by people in the community in the Netherlands. It's every first not Friday, but Thursday in a month. So present there, do some kind of workshop around functions. Then at the end of February, I'll move to Helsinki, where there will be Tech Days Finland, where we'll be talking about Cosmos DB. Early on, actually that's this week, Friday, it's also Azure Lowlands. So
the day that this is posted, you'll be at Azure Lowlands. What are you talking about there?
Also Cosmos DB, so I almost forgot about it. Yeah, it's a big event, it's the first time. I'm going to be talking at 2 of Cosmos also in Tech Days Finland. Then in March, there will be an MVP summit, and after that we have the Global Integration Bootcamp, where I'll touch upon probably some of the integration capabilities in Azure. And then we got, I think it's April. Yeah, it's the 4th month. And then I'll go to Copenhagen, where I'll talk about Logic App. So that's kind of what will happen the next couple of months. You're going to be busy. Yeah, and
busy.
Presumably, you and I also will be doing integrating in June. So yeah.
And then you have a marathon in between all of this too.
That's true.
And somehow you're going to get some billable hours in as well. I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, and the end of April, I'm going to run the London Marathon, so that will be my 6th.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, so you're busy. Yeah, you got a lot on the go.
Yeah.
Busy. What are you doing? Busy's good. What am I doing? So I guess this Wednesday, this will be 2 days before this is posted, I'll be speaking at the Calgary Power Platform user group. So Calgary's had traditionally a fairly strong Power BI user group, and then with the Power Platform emerging from the, just from Microsoft, it made sense to bring those 3 technologies together and have a unified user group. So Power Apps, Flow, and Power BI. So I'll be speaking there, 5 tips for adopting Power Apps and Flow. And it generally, within your organization, it generally involves this notion of change management and security. So the Power Platform can be very powerful. However, many organizations are concerned about data exfiltration and giving too much power to the end users. And what I'm going to show people is how you can introduce some additional governance so that you feel comfortable allowing your users to use these tools. But I'll also use some organizational change management techniques in terms of how you embrace the adoption of these tools. Because obviously if they're powerful, you want to take advantage of them, not hide them and lock them in the closet and forget that or pretend they don't exist. The big thing is, how do you get the business benefit while still having the guardrails to ensure people don't go off course? So that's on the go here. I don't think I've got anything really booked beyond that. From a speaking perspective, I'm sure some things will come up. Hopefully, Integrate. I'd love to get involved in Integrate once again. Beyond that, continue to write out InfoQ articles, continue to work on these tips. as I've been involved more so on the Logic app side. I'm doing a little bit around Event Hubs right now.
So what tips have you lined up actually?
So a lot of the ones that I've focused on in Logic apps deal with like scale, and that can be scaling out. So like allowing or taking advantage of parallelism, or it could be a matter of like scaling in and taking advantage of basically singletons.
Okay.
And so these are naturally patterns that emerge inside of the enterprise. And certainly you go back to our BizTalk days, it was a lot of work to set these types of things up, and Logic apps makes it very simple. So I think that's been a big part of what I've been working on lately. Also, ISE is a focus for us. The organization I work for, we're introducing ISE. That's the Logic Apps Integration Service Environment. So I did a very long blog post on that. I'll do more videos around that as well for Middleware Friday. And really, that's just using dedicated capacity for your Logic apps. And really, one of the big benefits of using it is VNet connectivity. So you can attach your Logic app instance to a VNet, a virtual network, which then allows you to talk to other parts of your networks. That could be your on-premise network. It could be if you federated with another organization, cloud organization, you can set those types of things up. And it does get you out of the whole gateway situation. And the gateway is there. It's okay, to be honest, but it's not perfect. And it doesn't scale like to meet a lot of enterprise use cases where the VNet will scale, where you're taking advantage of your VPN pipeline or your express route pipe. So from that perspective, you get greater scale. So that's an important thing going on for me right now as well, is to do more and more of that. And yeah, so I think that's what's keeping me busy these days.
Cool. So we're both busy. That's nice.
Being busy is good.
Yeah.
So, all right. So thanks for stopping by.
Sure. I'll come back in October. Probably. It's nice out here.
Try to catch some football games.
Yeah,
But
sure.
now the following week, Steef-Jan will have Middleware Friday. It'll be on his turn, and we'll see you then. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you. See you.
I'm shopping at Neiman's, balling every season, feeling like I'm dreaming, shining every weekend. All they know is that I was broke, then I got a brand new coupe, Louis V's on my